So how do you watch wildlife in your yard? For the past several years, I've had camera systems set up around my house. And while for obvious reasons, it's nice for intruders or when your kids go out to play to be able to watch them, one of my favorite things is being able to check on the wildlife that visits my backyard. So today, we're going to unbox, set up, and test the Soliom wireless 4-camera kit. Let's do this. I've been considering other camera systems just to kind of be able to definitely see the perimeter of our yard. A lot of the cameras that I set up were individual, so I really wanted something that kind of worked together in unison, and that's when I found out about this Soliom 4-camera wireless setup. I've been wanting to test a few different camera systems, especially one that's able to track as it goes from one camera to another. The Soliom security cameras are 8 megapixels Ultra HD. There's no subscription required. It has built-in radar, they're solar powered, and they come with a 360-degree pan tilt auto tracking. They're also 5G and 2.4G Wi-Fi. This kit includes a 4-camera system and a home base. So after opening these up, I can tell these cameras are extremely well built. It's very heavy plastic, and I really love the fact that these kind of hang down. The fact that this can do a 360 and 90-degree tilt means that you can be able to see all around the camera feed. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to get these charged up. It recommends each camera charged for 7 to 8 hours. So we're gonna get these things charged up, and then we're gonna get to the next step. So now that you have your cameras charged up and ready to go, the next thing that you need to do is you need to download the Soliom Home app. This will allow you to connect to the cameras in your backyard to be able to see your backyard through their app. If you find your instruction booklet or this quick guide that they included in the packaging, there's actually a QR code that you can scan right on this sheet. Once you scan that QR code with your phone, it will take you directly to be able to download the Soliom Home app, and then you'll be able to connect to your camera system. Once you successfully downloaded the app, the next thing that you need to do is to create an account. This will allow you to log into the app and be able to access your cameras. After successfully creating an account, it will actually send you a verification to the email that you use to sign up. Once you verify that email, you'll be all set to go, and then you'll be able to add all your cameras to your app. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take all of our cameras, 4 different cameras, and we're going to connect these each to the app to where we can actually visually see through the camera. So go ahead and turn on your cameras. What you're going to do on the very bottom, there is a little plastic plug here that is on there, and you will see the power button right here on the right. There is also a reset button here as well. So go ahead and hold down that button, and you're going to turn on each one of your cameras to be able to connect it. As you can hear, there's a little sound and light that comes up, and it actually did kind of turn a little bit here. So the camera is now on, and now we're going to go into the app and see if we can locate this camera and connect the camera to the app. So to do this on the main screen, you're going to add device, and then it's going to be able to connect to the camera using a QR system, QR code from the actual camera system. So if you take this little piece off top, so this is going to be where the solar panel goes. So if you pull this and take this off, you'll notice right here that there is a QR code. So we are going to go ahead and scan that QR code, and it immediately found it. And so it's going to ask me to press and hold the power button on the bottom for 3 seconds until you hear the prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the underside here, and I'm going to hold this for 3 seconds. All right, so we got a little ahead of ourselves. If you already turned on the camera, you can just skip this step and go to next here. Once you get the app connected, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to set up the home base. Now this home base is going to have an AC adapter to be able to plug in, and it will be kept inside your house. It will also be actually plugged in with a network cable to your router. So I do recommend to put the home base at kind of the middle of your house, or if depending on where you're putting your cameras, to make sure that the home base stays in the middle of the 4 cameras. This is to just make sure that your Wi-Fi can reach each one and the signal will go out to each of the cameras. So when you're setting this up, it'll actually have you hold down the sync button on the back of the home base for 3 seconds, and then it'll have you turn on at least one of the camera systems. Once it finds the camera, it will actually go through and it will connect to, it'll see all 4 cameras. I think it's just because that those were the cameras that were shipped in the kit. So it'll show you the serial number of each camera. And as you turn on each camera, it'll actually connect to each camera. Then once you have all 4 cameras set up, you can start the installation process. So before we go ahead and mount these cameras, there's just a few extra things that we need to do. Number 1 is we need to remove the film on the front of these cameras. And then you can take off the little plastic pieces here, and there's like a little blue film on the cover of this here. So just kind of pull those off and you can go ahead and toss them. Those are just for the packaging purposes. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to be able to mount the solar panel. So these actually come off to be able to help you do that. So like earlier, if you just pull this plastic piece off, then you can actually slide this right on top of your solar panel here. And they come with these little screws with plastic piece on the end, and you're going to go ahead and insert that into here and just screw this in and mount this solar panel to this plate. All right, so we have that connected to this plate. You can actually change kind of the angle of your solar panel. You can also, if you untwist it and loosen it a little bit, you can actually turn your solar panel depending on where your camera is. So this just gives you an idea, depending on where your sun is, to make sure that the camera stays charged completely, is move your solar panel around to get the most amount of sun. Now there are recommendations based on where you live in the instruction booklet. I'm not gonna go over those because it is very dependent on where you live. The way that I'm going to set up is I'm going to set it up on all 4 corners of our house. Just that way we can kind of have everything in the backyard encompassed. But just know that you can turn this, if it doesn't face the sun, exactly how you want. And then once you have this piece on there, you can go ahead and fit it right back on your camera. So now this is the full system. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to plug the solar panel into our camera here. And the plug for your solar panel is directly under here. So it's not actually right on the black part of the camera. It's actually up here in the white. And it's just going to plug right in here. And there we are, we're good to go. And we're gonna go ahead and do this for all 4 cameras, and then we're gonna be ready to mount the cameras. So now that the cameras are all set up, the solar panels are attached, they're all set and ready for installation. Now, for this installation, it does come with a setup to where you can actually drill these in and permanently connect them. And it even has the little guide that I like to use whenever I'm drilling something. But for me, I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I wanted to be able to mount them without actually causing any damage or putting any holes into our house. The other thing is we are currently living with my mother and father-in-law, and they have a brick building, so there's not really a place to where I can actually drill it in. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using these. I've used these for a few of my smart bird feeders, and I really, really like them. They're essentially hose clamps, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these on our gutters, and I'm going to use this to mount the camera system to the gutters, and that way they're on the 4 corners of the house. And then this way I'll be able to see the entire yard due to the fact that they have the 360-degree angle and the 90-degree tilt. I'll be able to basically see anything throughout the yard when these things are mounted. So like I said, I'm gonna be using these hose clamps. You can actually drill these in and have no issues. It does recommend to mount them between 6 to 9 feet in the air. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to roughly put them between the 6 to 9 feet. We're gonna go ahead and get these mounted and see how they look. Okay, so now that we have installed all of the cameras and we've set them where we want, let's go into the app and see how the cameras work and how we can use that in our own backyards. When you first open the app, you'll see several options at the bottom. You'll see Home, Security, Statistics, Store, and User. On the main home screen, you'll be able to see all of your 4 cameras from the camera kit. Now, if you've added other cameras that are also Soliom, they will also show up in the home area. But because we only have the 4, we're gonna stick with these at the moment. This will give you an overall view of the 4 cameras that are set up on your property. In each camera, you can go in and set up each camera depending on what you're looking for, how you want it to pick up, and what you want it to pick up. One of the 2 main things that you'll see is the motion detection and the events. Now, the motion detection, I actually added all of these. This means that it will detect people, vehicles, and pets. And this is for me the best way that I can set this up because I want to know if people are going around my property, if there's neighbors walking down the street, or particularly my case, my pets, if my dog goes outside, or the wildlife that I get that comes throughout the yard. You can also click on the events option, and this will give you all the events or anything that tripped the camera up that made it go off for a motion detection, typically from a person, vehicle, or a pet. Now, this will bring up a calendar view where you can actually go back and see anything that tripped up the camera that specifically you want to look for. You can search by dates. It'll also be listed in chronological order from the last event that it tripped up. So you can basically go through and check out all the different things, all the motion detections that tripped the camera up that made the camera start to record. For each camera, you can actually set up a default view. And what this means is that if a person comes out or an animal comes out and the camera moves and pans with that person, after that person leaves, it will go back to the designated main set focus area. And this is if you have something in your yard that you want it to focus on, or if you know that there's a certain area that wildlife or people will be walking through, you can have it set up for that to be the main area so that when it goes back to kind of an idle situation, it will go back and the camera will face that direction. You'll also see the power mode, and this will tell you if the solar panel is plugged in or if it's hardwired plugged in, and the amount of battery life that you have left for the camera. This will show you all 4 cameras, and you can actually disarm them. That way they won't go off if there's a certain event going on. Say you're doing some work on the side of your house and you don't want your camera to keep picking something up, or if you're out in the yard doing some work and you don't want the cameras to pick you up, you can actually choose to disarm each individual camera so they won't pick you up on that camera. Next, if you go into statistics, this will bring up all the camera events that have taken place. So it will tell you if something pinged the camera to where it recorded something, and you can actually see all these events by individual cameras or basically all the cameras at once. You'll be able to see all the events that triggered these events. It will also tell you the number of devices or which device picked up the most different types of motion. And this will help you to kind of understand which camera you want to focus on. So if there's certain activities going on in your yard or certain wildlife that is in your yard, you can kind of know to check those particular cameras because it had the most amount of things that went on. It will also tell you if you have something that is tripping up your camera that you don't necessarily want, or motion detection that you're not really worried about. You can also be able to look at that, and that way you can tone down the amount of what makes it go off, or if you can change the camera setting to where it points in a different direction so it doesn't pick up those events. Next, if you click on Store, this is going to bring up the Soliom store. Now, they have a ton of different security cameras on here, so if you'd like to go through and see different options that might be better for your yard, in addition to this 4-camera kit, you can go into the store and see all the different products that they have. Now, they do quite frequently run different sales, so I definitely urge you to you to kind of just stop in and check that out and see if they have any cameras in different sales that you might be interested in. Now, the last option is user, and this is going to be where you get all the settings that you want in particular that work with the Soliom system. Now, there's several different options that you can have based on notifications. So what kind of notifications that you get. If you'd like to get the motion detection, but you don't want your phone to be going off nonstop, you can set it up so where it'll still have the events when you go into the camera system, but it doesn't actually ping your phone, so that way you're not bogged down by a bunch of notifications. This is also the area where if you want other people to have access to these cameras, you can actually share this camera with other people. Now, I will tell you, and my wife and I tried this as well, she tried to log into the account or my app, and she actually locked me out. So there's only one user that can actually be logged in at one time on this camera system. So if you want someone else to be able to have access to these cameras, you do need to share the camera, and they will need to create their own account to be able to access these cameras, and that way there's not two different devices that are logged in on the same account. Overall, I've been extremely happy and excited to use this Soliom 4-camera system. There's several different features that I think are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to having an outdoor security system, specifically for people who want to see kind of what's going on in their yard, and in my case, the different wildlife that I might be able to see or not actually see in real time and be able to go back and view on these camera systems. When you're looking at the live camera view, you can actually zoom in by 8 times the normal camera. So this will actually zoom in the live camera quite significantly. So if there's something that you're looking at, like maybe a person that's walking by, you can actually zoom in quite a bit and be able to look and see, and it gives you a lot of good detail. So this is one of the big main reasons that I really wanted to test these out, is the fact that you can zoom in by 8 times and really see some high detail getting close up. The next really great feature that I really like on these is the fact that it has 360 and 90-degree angles. And basically what this means is you can see all around with these cameras. So if there's something that you want to see and you're mounted, it actually can spin 360 degrees, and you can actually turn it around to where you're looking at the wall that it is mounted to. And this is a very great option. A lot of times when you have security cameras, you're very limited on where you can see. And usually in the past, when I have other cameras, I just have to set up multiple cameras to be able to cover that area. But with the fact that you can change these to 360 degrees and tilt the camera up 90 degrees, you can basically see anything that is within the area of where that camera is located. Now, finally, the other great feature that I love about this is the fact that it will detect motion and it will follow that motion. So if for some reason you had an intruder in your yard, it will actually follow that person until they go out of the frame. Now, the other great thing about this camera system as a whole is once the person walks around the camera system from one camera, another camera will pick it up, and you can actually follow the person if they would walk around your house. Now, I set mine up on each 4 corners of our house. If I did have a better option, I would actually suggest that you actually would take the cameras a little bit farther into your yard and actually point them at your house. This would actually just be because it's much easier to get some of the stuff if you have people walking through your yard and stuff like that. Another really cool feature that it has is each camera has the ability to take a panorama that actually has a little picture that goes under the live view of the camera. And basically it just shows where the camera is and everything surrounding it. And it's not really something that you would typically use, but it is a nice little cool feature that they offered for each of these cameras. The Soliom 4-camera system does work on both 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Now, if I can make a recommendation, I would recommend recommend using the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. And the only reason is that the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi will typically go a little bit farther. So if you do put these cameras out in your yard, they will benefit from using the 2.4 and being blocked a little bit more, just because the 2.4 is a little bit stronger, farther away from your Wi-Fi base. Now, if they're directly in your home or very close, the 5 gigahertz will be faster. But like I said, if you do use them out in your yard a little bit, I will recommend using a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. Like I previously stated, I'm overall very happy with this camera system. I'm super excited on it, and I'm going to continue using this, and I'm going to be able to watch the wildlife that I see throughout my yard. We typically don't get a lot of neighbors that come by, so it's not really going to be used as an intruder situation for me. But I do like that when my dog goes out to go to the bathroom, I can watch her if she goes around the corner in something that goes out of my view. Each camera I can control, and I can turn and basically manipulate it to where I can basically see throughout my entire yard, just to kind of see if there's anything. So for instance, we went on vacation a few months back, and I was trying to figure out if there was something that I'd left on our front porch. This would be an easy scenario where I could go look at the cameras. Because I can go 360, I can actually look all around our yard, and I could have seen if I left that at our house. Now, obviously it wouldn't really help you if you're not there, but at least you can have the peace of mind to be able to look at it and know that it's either there or it's not there. I want to thank Soliom for reaching out to me to test these cameras. Now, if you have watched my channel and you are interested in some Soliom products, and you would like to see one of their Soliom smart bird feeders, I'm going to link a review of their smart bird feeder here, as well as in the description below. I really like their equipment, and I like their smart bird feeder, and I really like these camera systems. So definitely, if you were looking for some kind of security system that is not hardwired, I would definitely check out the Soliom 4-camera kit. Again, thank you so much for Soliom for reaching out to me. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos just like this, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, get out and get birding.